Hi everyone, Karma again.
Hi,
Hope you
and
didn't
I'm
miss me
back
too
too.
much. Hi Kat, how you doing?
Hello, I'm well. I hope I hope everyone missed us because we're back with more video games.
All right, so I guess first off, let's go ahead and get the names. It was Ribbit and Melly, I believe.
That is correct.
Alrighty, and timer will start as soon as I hit start on this screen here. So 3, 2, 1, go. So this is the Battle of Olympus, and you'll notice that the category was infinite olives percent. I usually call it infinite olives lol percent because why not? But you'll notice right off the bat in the top right, we have 99 of those little red orbs. Those are actually olives, and those are the currency in this game. We're using a Game Genie code to keep us topped off at 99 olives. If you want to see this game with olive farms, go back to my AGDQ 2019 run. I promise it's speedrunnable in that sense too, but this is a much more accessible speed run.
Yeah, this olive grind is it's the least exciting parts of this run, and now thanks to Fun Game Genie Code, you won't ever have to see it.
So you'll also notice that this looks a lot like Zelda 2. More on that in a moment, but first we're going to go ahead and talk to Zeus here. We need to talk to Zeus before we do anything else. Zeus lets us talk to all of the other gods in the game, so no matter what you do, he's the first place you got to go to. So, like I was saying, you'll notice this is very much like Zelda 2, and you'll see it more and more as I do combat things. That is actually completely intentional. This game was made by a husband and wife combo with the help of the composer from River City Ransom. So when we get to the credits, you will only see 3 names in them. And basically, it was just they really liked Zelda 2 and they wanted to give it a try with Greek mythology. So about a year after Zelda 2 was released, this game came out.
It is really astounding that they put this whole project together. I like the little world map and everything in the corner that is completely unhelpful as you play this game.
Yeah, it's a nice little touch.
Oh,
so we're going to head over here to Argolis, and here we're going to attempt to pick up the sandals, although it turns out Hermes isn't here. Spoilers. So it's kind of funny. We're literally coming over here to try and grab the sandals, but then we're going to be told to go right back where we came from.
Hermes is on vacation, which is maybe just a reference we're going to get.
So here's the temple that Hermes usually resides in, but it's just this dude says get out of here. All right, so we're going to head back. And since we have infinite olives, we're actually just going to take a death here and death warp back here. Normally, the concern with olives is that when you die, you have 2 options. You can either hit continue, which takes you back to the last entrance you came in through, and it costs you half your olives, or you can hit retry and go back to the last password that you got from a god. But since we have infinite olives right now, we can take a lot of death warps to save quite a bit of time, actually. In the any percent route, we would actually be farming from this screen right here. Oh wait, no, the screen before this with the 6 slimes. And each of those had a 25% chance of dropping an olive. So we would have to do that, and we would have to get up to a total of 130 olives over the course of 3 farming sessions. So that's an extra 10 minutes of farming, and you know what? Who has time for that?
The game gets upset if you try to farm, despite demanding you farm for olives in this game. So you start getting diminishing returns on the drop rate.
Yeah. We just picked up the sandals, so by default, it lets us jump higher, which is really nice. But on some screens, it'll actually let us flip gravity. I'll show it off right here. Whoa! Whoa! Sorry. I love these sandals, okay? We're going to the Peloponnesian Forest. And this place is a very maze-like section, but it's not a huge maze, thankfully. So if you're playing this casually, you can stumble around here and generally find your way around eventually. There's another maze in this game later on, Crete, that we'll be getting to that is much more painful to be getting around. We're going to take a damage boost here. Normally you're supposed to have the Staff of Fennel and the ability to draw fire from the staff. But if you turn around at the last second as you jump into that, you can actually just get right through it at the cost of 2 bars of health.
Their damage boosts.
Yeah.
The biggest draw, not the draw, the biggest thing about this game that I always pushed me away from it were just like, do you know what Zelda 2 was always missing? And that's a lot of 2D door mazes.
Of course. So now we're fighting the Hydra, who takes 8 hits and jumps at us 1 head at a time. That's just how it works. Once we get the Hydra into a bit of a pattern here, it's not too hard to just kind of sit here and spam clubs. So we're going to head over here and going to grab the Sword of the Fairies from here. This is going to do twice as much damage as our club, and we're just going to take a death because we have infinite olives. Who cares?
When you've got infinite olives, you can just die all the time and you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's great. It's kind of nice because in the any % route, you're constantly on edge because you're pretty much stuck between passwords, because every time you talk to a god, you can talk to them twice if they give you an item, and they'll give you a password, and that'll be kind of your checkpoint. But if you're doing like any % or 100%, there's a lot of times where you go a decent way without getting a single password, and it can get a little bit scary at times. So not having to worry about that and being able to actually take advantage of death is quite nice. One of the NPCs here tells us about the ambrosia that drops from this tree, and this is the only health pickup we're going to be getting. That's right, we finished the run with 12 maximum health.
So how many hits from Hades is that?
Yes.
It's yes hits, got it.
You don't want to take a hit from Hades. If you do, it's over. So the Cyclops there can only be damaged by this fairy sword. So that's why we needed the fairy sword, but also the double damage is nice too. We're going to head into this little dark hallway here, and it's going to take us over to... Oh my gosh, who has... It's Poseidon! There we go. I had to remember who was the water one. So we're going to pick up the ocarina here, which, as everybody knows, ocarinas called dolphins that you can ride.
Mine does.
Yeah. On our way up here, we're gonna grab a flask that's hidden in one of the pillars. And, well, hey Kat, how do you feel about the monkeys and the birds?
They're excellent additions to this video game that enhance the game 1000% and never get in your way. What's this correct answer?
I think what she means to say is that they're really obnoxious and very random. The birds generally have a few different speeds that they can fly at you at, and they can just really, really mess up your day. And the monkeys
are extra fun later on.
Yeah. Here's the harpy, takes 3 hits, and we can actually keep her horizontally locked if we use the harp. And here's a dark section that there's a pit that I just jumped over, but I know where it is, so not a huge problem.
See, at least I think Zelda 2 gives you a little bit of vision when you're in dark rooms, and this game's just like, nah, just deal with literally no vision whatsoever.
Yeah. And now I got the orb, so I'm going to fall into said pit. And that's going to take us back here with full health. So one of the functions of the harp that's really nice is that it allows us to play at these pillars of the sun. And Pegasus swoops by and picks us up. And Pegasus takes us to some pretty convenient places, actually.
Where is Pegasus taking us today?
Back to Arcadia, so we can make a pass through to Argolis. Now that we have the orb, we're going to use that inside one of the caves, and it'll take us to our first fragment of love. And the objective of this game is to grab all 3 fragments of love, make the journey to Tartarus, and then rescue our girlfriend who has been turned to stone by Hades. Alright, here we are in Argolis. One thing I didn't finish earlier saying about the monkeys. They are really obnoxious because they can actually delay their attacks. They normally just jump at you like really high speed, and they're kind of like the flea men from Castlevania. But sometimes they'll just not jump, and that can really mess with patterns.
Depending on how motivated they're feeling any particular day.
Yeah, so here's our girlfriend. And she's telling us about how she got bitten by a poisonous snake and then taken to Tartarus. So
See,
immediately
going
after
to Tartarus.
Yep. Immediately after doing that, we are going to be filled with determination and take a death warp, because it's slightly faster to get back to this pillar over here. Like I said, in any percent, we would definitely not be taking that death warp, because we'd be holding on to about 70 olives right now.
Imagine fitting that many olives in your pocket. That's just got to be uncomfortably squishy.
Not to mention the fact that this is infinite olives.
So now he's got a bag of holding of olives.
Yeah, apparently. So that old man will not give you the key to get to the second love fragment until you've obtained the first love fragment. Because we gotta prove that we're Ribbit. It's very important.
You need to prove that you're you?
Yes.
Ah, yes. Fragments of love are the only methods of identification back in ancient Greece times.
It's like a driver's license. So here's Gaia. Oops, I already kind of messed up her pattern. This is actually really not great. Usually, I try and keep Gaia up at the top section. I still have the key, right? Yeah, I do. Okay, we're good. Gaia takes 5 hits. And honestly, that fight was just embarrassing.
Don't worry, this is RNG manipulation, probably.
Clearly. I'm manipulating RNG for later in the run. Sure, we'll go with that.
Yep, it's going to get a good Hades pattern.
There we go, this is going much better. Alright, so here's Thea, which is, in a casual playthrough, definitely one of the most dangerous areas. There's just so many pits to fall in. The birds are very rude. They will find ways to try and knock you in. The monkeys will try and find ways to knock you down a pit. And everything just does so much damage.
This is the stage, if you didn't understand about the birds and the monkeys already, this is the stage that will teach you about the birds and the monkeys being absolutely terrible.
And ironically, when I say that, I actually don't take much damage on my way in, which is a little bit unfortunate because I actually do want to be lower on health here, because we're about to pick up the Divine Sword for 70 olives here, aka free. And the Divine Sword does twice as much damage as the sword we currently have, but we can also shoot lightning at the cost of half a bar of health. And so we're just going to tell Hephaestus here what we think of his shins.
Do you think Hephaestus would just hand anyone this lightning sword, his lightning sword, if they just brought him a bar or a jar of store-bought olives?
Yeah.
All right.
I think so. I really think so. One other nice thing about this game is that when you have a respawning enemy, if you kill it and it drops an item, if you leave the item where it is, that enemy will not respawn until you pick up the item. Yikes. Oh, shoot. So I accidentally used the Divine Sword when I had half a bar of health left.
perfect. I love that the game lets you kill you. Like there's no like gate. Be like, okay, you just can't swing the sword. It's like, nah, go for it. Feel free to not live.
Yeah, it's pretty great. This game holds you responsible for your own decision making. And I made a bad choice. That death was mostly caused by the random bird that was flying over above me. One thing that's actually really interesting about these Game Genie codes that I'm using for the Infinite Olives, normally monkeys do 3 damage, but in the Japanese version they do 2. And for some reason, these codes make it go back to where the Japanese version worked with only doing 2 damage. Which is actually kind of a detriment, because normally when we take hits from monkeys, we want them to be 3 damage. Because they're mostly in areas that we want a death warp. So there's our second fragment of love, and we're gonna go take another death warp back to the entrance.
Just fill this wall full of lightning until I'm not alive anymore.
I am not a fan of where this is. Okay, we're fine. All right, we're gonna call upon Pegasus one more time here. And it's gonna take us back to Laconia. And we're going to pass through here and head over to Crete, which is the other large mazy section. And one different thing that I've started doing in recent weeks with this route, since we have Infinite Olives, we can actually afford to stop by Ares and buy the power bracelet from him, which doubles the damage that you do and takes away the half damage that you receive when shooting lightning. So it's just kind of win-win. And here in Crete, there are some folks that really, really are proud of their axes, and they really want to show them to you. Particularly Talos right there. Alright, so we're gonna
really swing it well. He just kind of jabs at it right at his hip.
Yeah, that is not very good axe technique. I don't know axe technique that well, but I'm pretty sure that's not it.
These, I think these are Valkyries, maybe? No, wrong mythology. Amazon. They are so annoying to dodge sometimes. Usually you can just get over them, but if they catch you, it gets really messy.
Yep. So one thing about Ares is if you don't have the 80 olives to be able to afford the bracelet, but you tell him you'll buy it, he calls you a liar and chucks your sandals away, and you have to go all the way back to Hermes to pick them back up again. So yeah, if you're going to be trying to buy the bracelet from Ares, make sure you have the funds.
I have never been so mad I've thrown someone's sandals into the ocean.
Right? Okay, so here's the Minotaur. I'm going to have to focus for just a little bit. Easy peasy. There's a bit of an audio cue there. And with the bracelet, it only takes 8 hits instead of the 16 it would normally take. And here's our third and final fragment of love. Melly's going to tell us that the path to Tartarus has been opened. And we're just going to walk on the ceiling to get out of here. Couple jumps over some Amazons. And every time I play this game at an event, I always have to point out this person over here. This particular Talos is always so excited to show off his axe that he will walk on water to do so.
I love this dude.
I love that Talos. He's great. He's trying his best.
He tries so hard.
So here's Tartarus. We start off with a little bit of a maze. The NPCs in Crete will tell you that you need to go left, left, right, left. And here's Cerberus. Normally would take 16 hits, but since we have the bracelet, I can just mess it up and continue. All right, that's fine.
At least my timing is not later.
Yeah, the hitbox on Cerberus is really deceiving. You have to specifically hit him in the head, and it can be really obnoxious. And the other thing about Cerberus, too, is that his health regenerates. So if you kill off one of the heads, then you're slow about killing the rest of them. Then they can come back, and you'll just be stuck in that fight for a really long time.
Tell me how long it takes to kill that Cerberus without this sword.
If you have just the basic fairy sword and no power bracelet, I want to say like a minute and a half of straight swinging at Cerberus.
Without missing at all, ever.
Yeah. And there's a point where it looks like he dies, but he doesn't. Also, these two screens here are very rude, and RNG can just mess up your day, which we thankfully didn't get messed up.
Thanks to that RNG manipulate earlier in the run, probably.
Clearly. Also, you'll notice the music is restarting a lot. Every time we start and stop the music, that's actually a new checkpoint, and I'm letting the power bracelet get to my head. I should just be doing my usual strats here instead of trying to deviate.
Right now, right here is definitely the time to make new strategies for your speed game.
Right? Oh, gosh. Anyway, yeah, so every time you hear the music restart, that's a checkpoint that when you hit continue, you'll respawn at. And this area is very generous with the checkpoints. And just a few more Amazons to jump over, and we'll be... Oh, I forgot about that one almost. Now here's Hades' temple. We're going to do some pretty precise jumps right here to get past the Lamia. Alright, perfect. And now the rest of this should be pretty smooth sailing.
Can't wait for this exciting conclusion. This story is based off of an actual Greek tale, isn't it? I want to say it is.
It's based off of Orpheus and Eurydice, or how do you pronounce her name?
I am not going to try that here on this channel.
Well, shoot. Just gonna leave me hanging here, huh?
Eurydice, maybe?
I think?
That sounds right.
But yeah, it's that tale. Except this time it's now with Ribbit and Melly. Because we can insert our own names. One nice thing about the stairs in this game is that they lock you in place. So if you stand on them and anchor yourself, it's a really good way to not get knocked off into a pit. And this final fight here, I'm going to be shooting a lot of crouching lightning. And what that is I'm holding down and I am pressing B and then quickly up. And Hades here is normally supposed to be completely invisible unless you have the moon orb, but with crouching lightning we can sneak past his shield and time.
GG. And that fight at the end, like, you can see his reflection in the water if you used a certain item, which we didn't have. But whatever. And then after a while, he shows up on the top.
Yeah, it's actually a really cool fight if you don't cheese it with the crouching lightning. But, you know, with the crouching lightning, it makes it a heck of a lot more consistent and speedrunnable. And so here we are at the ruins that are already ruined. Question mark?
Do they... No, they don't break, right? They don't collapse. This is not a Ninja Gaiden ending.
This is just how it was back in the day. Anyway, like I mentioned before, this was made by basically 3 people, and I won't let the credits go on for too long here, but I just really want to say that this game rules. It is understandably not that big of a speedrun scene because normally there's a lot of olive farming that you have to do, but I am considering trying to get this category up if there's interest in that. And yeah, that is the Battle of Olympus Infinite Olives %.
Well done.
Okay, awesome run to Karma, and thanks gliitchwiitch for being a commentator there. I was still trying to figure out the correct pronunciation. Eurydices? I don't know, chat, you tell me. We have a $5 donation from Anonymous. Can we get a $5 trade going to get that Oblivion bonus run met? Choo choo. That is an awesome idea. Any dollar amount matters in helping Malala Fund and in helping meet that donation incentive. We probably have about an hour and a half or so to get that met. All right, we're going to throw it to a quick Twitch ad. Okay, let's see if we can get some of those $5 donation trains in to get that Oblivion run met later tonight. We still have a little bit of time left for that donation train. And we are almost ready for our next run. Karma is going to be back with the Immortal.